Good morning, class 9. This is your chapter number 8 from Women's book, A House is Not a Home. In this story, a story of a teenager has been reflected who has faced many challenges in his childhood and the problems of growing up. And how does he overcome his problem? Let's going to know about. Over here, first of all, it was his first year of his high school, and he had almost completed his junior high school at the head of his class, and over there he was promoted to the upper grade. And it was very strange for him to start over there as a freshman. Why? Because he was missing his old school, he was missing his friends, teachers, and everybody, and he was not able to adapt into the new atmosphere. Though his school was twice as big as his old school, but then also he did not feel like very much comfortable studying into his new school. Now over here, as I had already told you, that he used to miss everybody over there, but over there they would encourage him to get involved into the physical activities, school activities, and to make new people. But then also the narrator, the writer, he did not do all these such kind of things. And one Sunday afternoon, what happened, he was sitting at his home at the dining table, and he was doing his homework. It was a cold and windy day. He used to live with his mother, a cat. So these three people, they used to live inside the home. He was sitting at his dining room and he was doing his homework, and as usual his red tabby cat was also lying on the top of his papers. Now over there she was not never far from him. He also pampered his cat very much. Why? Because he had rescued her when she was a kitten, and that is why they both enjoyed each other's company. And his mother was on Sunday, she was just stroking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. Now there was a strange smell, and then he noticed that the smoke was pouring in the through the seams of the ceiling, and now the smoke began to fill the room, and it filled the room in no time. And they ran to the way to the front door, and they just ran to the front yard, and they saw that the fire had spread very quickly. And he went to the neighbors to call the fire department, and his mother ran back into the house to bring out the valuables. From the house she just carried out a small metal box that was full of important documents, and again she went inside to collect the belongings of the narrator's father. Why? Because narrator's father was no more in this world, and he died when he was very young. So that is why she wanted to collect all his pictures. But then also the boy, he shouted that, "Mom, please don't go inside." And then he was about to run after, when a very uh, thick person, a very large hand, hold him, and that was the fireman. He said that, "Don't go inside and your mother will be brought." And then what happened, other firefighters, they ran into the house, and it was all right, they'll get her, he said. And then the fireman, he wrapped a blanket around the narrator, and he asked him to sit down. And over there he was just watching his house burning, and his mother was also brought out. And then he quickly took over her to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her. Then the narrator, he just hugged her, and he just forgot all the times that he had argued with her, hated her. Now he was very scared of losing his mother. And then he was just sitting helpless and watching his house burning. It took 5 hours to seize the fire, to put off the fire, and his house was completely burned down. And all of a sudden he realized that his cat was not there. So in that just one moment, he just was thinking that, "I had lost everything." He said that he had lost his house, he had missed his old school, he did not adapt to the new school, his house was lost, his house was burned, everything, all the valuables were gone. And that time he was feeling as if he was a zombie. And at that night, what happened, the firemen, they did not allow them to go inside the house. Why? Because it was very dangerous. So they just drove to their grandparents house and they had to spend the night over there. And next Monday he went to the school. He was not feeling like going to the school, but his mother told him that no, you have to go to the school, and he was not even having shoes. So what did he do? He borrowed his aunt's shoes. He was living with his grandparents, and he was not having his bag, not having clothes. He was wearing the same old dirty clothes. All his belongings were gone. No books, no copies, no stationery, nothing. And he was like feeling just as if he was walking around the school like a zombie. And he said that nothing would going to happen, and his everything was ripped away, and he was just losing all the hope of life to live, and he was not feeling like living again. Now over there, when he was walking through the school, he used to see his old house. After some time, his mother told him that we do not have time to grieve, and now we have to go for a rented apartment. So they found a place and rented an apartment. They borrowed money from their grandparents because all the credit cards, cash, any identification was also not there, so that they can take out some money from the bank. Everything was gone up in the smoke. Now over there, what happened, he was seeing that all the debris that was the leftover of the burnt house, that was being cleared away. But then also he was just watching everything, and he was also looking for his cat. He was missing her. But then also he was missing all her activities that she used to do. And now over there, when he went to the school, he knew that he was embarrassed, and he knew that this news got spread very quickly about the tragedy that happened to the narrator. Now, next day at the school, the people, they were just acting even more strange than usual. So what did they do? They just miled around him, that means gathered around him, and the boy was thinking that what exactly they are doing near the locker. So what did they do? They asked him to hurry up to the gym. So they took him. There was a big table set up with all kinds of stuff on it. They had taken up the collection and brought him the school supplies, notebooks, clothes, jeans, tops, suits, everything. This made him feel warm. It was just like Christmas for him, and he was overjoyed with the emotion. He thought that the people who had never spoken to me before, now they were coming to introduce himself, and they were inviting him to their house, that come and spend a day with our house. And finally, this gesture touched him, and he breathed a sigh of relief. And he said that it was the first time when he thought, okay, now the thing or everything is going to be okay. Now a month later, he saw that his house was rebuilding. At this time, he was not alone also. His two of his friends from the school were also accompanying him. And now he was not insecure at that time. He said, now I have friends, I have money, I have everything, and now my house is also building. Now over there, when they were sitting and watching the rebuilding of the house, there was a lady, and she came up with his cat, and she asked him, the narrator, that is this your cat? The narrator said, yes, it is my cat. How the lady came to know? She said that your cat was freaked by the fire, and her collar was having a phone number on it, and she was trying calling on the phone number to reach the owner of the cat, but she was not able to do that. But finally, she took that cat to her home, and she noticed that it was a pet cat, and she worked out to find about the owner, and somebody told that the cat belonged to the narrator. And now it was a feeling of great feeling that he had got so many people around him. He had his new friends, he had his comradeship, he had his cat, his house was building, and at that time he overcame the challenges, and now he started to live happily. And he was also playing with his cat, and his friends were also playing with the cat, and everything, the life came back. So this was an account of the narrator Zen Godioso.